promise that you'll catch me.
Hey guys, Jazz back with another video. In this video, we're going to go over my playoff predictions for the 2017-2018 season. I'm going to try to make this as fast as possible, not to go into too much detail, because I've seen a lot of these and they're taking super long. I'm trying to make mine as fast as possible. First and foremost, we're going to start off with the Tennessee Titans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe this one's a pretty simple one for me. Kansas City is a really good home team. They're playing at home. They're 6-2 at home this season. Tennessee Titans are 3-5 on the road. Tennessee Titans have played the easiest schedule in the NFL and only gone 9-7. I believe this is a pretty easy matchup for the Kansas City Chiefs. Don't think Tennessee's that good. They went 9-7 against a pretty bad schedule, so it doesn't really prove much to me. Plus, they're a bad road team going against a good home team. This should be a simple Kansas City win right here for this one. There's not much into it. This one is one of the easiest games of the weekend. All right, guys, the second game is the Buffalo Bills versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars are the number 3 seed. They're at home. They're a really good home team against another bad road team. Only caveat here is that Jacksonville actually has one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. I believe they're tied with the Titans with the easiest schedule. Obviously, they play in a really bad division, so usually teams that are in a really bad division, and if they go up against another bad division on the opposite conference, then they're going to have really bad records. I mean, opponents, obviously, that they face. Still, they went 10-6. Buffalo only went 9-7. It would be more of a toss-up if Shady wasn't hurt. The fact that Shady McCoy is hurt really hurts the Buffalo Bills' chances, and the fact that Jacksonville's a good home team, Buffalo's a bad road team, they're down their best player. I have to go with Jacksonville. Their defense is just that much strong, and now they just could lock up those wide receivers with that crazy secondary, nasty pass rush. It should be a pretty easy game, especially if Shady's really hurt or doesn't even play at all. Jacksonville should be able to win this one pretty easily. All right, guys, now we get to the good side of the bracket. This is the more wide open side of the bracket. The AFC, the 2 wild card games are because you already know those teams are going into the slaughterhouse. Maybe Kansas City because they kind of have a little, thing with the Patriots, but they should be getting, slaughtered. Those teams they're going against juggernauts. And the NFC is a little bit more wide open. You got some really good teams in the wild card, and you also have vulnerable top seeds in the NFC, which are young, or they're without their starting quarterback, or they're starting a quarterback that nobody cares about. So yeah, Case Keenum, we don't care about you. I'm a Rams fan. Yeah, we know who Case Keenum is. Well, we don't know him. All right. So we're gonna start off with the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are 7-1 at home. 1 home loss. That was to the Patriots. Second game of the season. They started off the season 0-2. They won like 9 straight games, and they played this really good team out of Los Angeles, and they kind of took an L after. But nonetheless, they're 7-1 at home. They won 7 straight home games. The Carolina Panthers are a good road team. I just don't like the Carolina Panthers because they don't have the best run game. They have done a good job of incorporating McCaffrey towards the end of the season. I don't really like their wide receivers that much. Don't really like Cam Newton that much. Don't like their running game. Their defense is good, but New Orleans is a well-balanced team. They got a really good defense. They got a really good running game. They got a Hall of Fame quarterback, and they got some decent weapons. A couple decent. They're not as loaded on the receiving end as they usually are, but they got Drew Brees, who should be able to man the ship and get those clutch first downs that they need. So, to me, I think New Orleans Saints will advance to the next round. On this one, I am not gonna tell you just yet and spoil who they'll actually play, because if I tell you who they'll play, you already know who's going to win the next game. Because of the seeding purposes, it'll probably give away who I think who's going to win the next game. So we're going to move on to the next game, and I'll let you know who I think is going to win the next game. All right, guys, now we get to the best game of the weekend, and not just because it's too high power. It's not because it's my team. 2 high-powered offenses going at it. All right. This is the game I've actually had the toughest time deciding who I'm going to. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're a Rams fan. You're just going to pick the Rams. I really tossed and turned about this because I really do think this might be a year we make a serious run. Because we are doing pretty good. Atlanta is 5-3 on the road. The Rams are 4-4 at home. But technically, they're only 3-3 at home. And here's what I'm saying. The last home game, we sat all our starters, so that game doesn't count. So that's 4-3. And then one of our home games is actually a London game. That's actually really a road game. So we're actually 8-1 on the road and 3-3 at home. We're not a really good home team. We don't get really good home crowds. Now, If they for some reason get a really good home crowd because it's a playoff game in the atmosphere, maybe it could swing a different way. But if I had to put my money, my heart, Rams all day. If I had to bet my money, I think the Rams are a year too early. I think Atlanta is out to prove, you know, take away those memories of last year and get back to the Super Bowl. So I think the Atlanta Falcons will win this game because they're a good road team. Rams are not a good home team. And if the crowd doesn't show up, they don't get really good crowds in LA right now. But I mean, as the buzz starts to grow, they might be, and maybe since it's a playoff game, it might be a different environment, and that'll really help them out. But it really hasn't been a home field advantage for them this year. So they're 8-1 on the road and basically 3-3 at home. So that just goes to tell you, I think Atlanta will win this game. So that means that Atlanta will wind up playing Minnesota because the lowest seed plays. Atlanta will wind up playing Philadelphia. If the Rams win, they have to play Minnesota because one of the other game will be the lower seed and they'll play Philly. But since Atlanta will win, they'll wind up playing Philly, and then New Orleans will wind up playing Minnesota. I'm really hoping I'm wrong because if we do beat Atlanta, which is to me is a toss-up game, but I'm probably saying it's a toss-up game because if it wasn't the Rams, I would probably be like, that team is too young. They're a year ahead. Atlanta's a veteran team. They're gonna come in and, you know, especially with the with their home record and everything. If I took my bias out of it, I think I really would go Atlanta. So I'm trying to be as biased as possible. I mean, I'm trying to be as least biased as possible. So I will have to go Atlanta here. But if we do we'll beat the shit out of Minnesota. Yeah. And if it broke down the other way, I would think that we would probably make it to the conference finals. That's what I would say. We'll make it to the conference finals if we were to beat Atlanta. But I don't think we're going to be able to beat Atlanta. All right, guys. So now things get a little bit more interesting in the AFC. I think this is actually a really good game. I kind of think that is no way I'll pick the Kansas City Chiefs, but Kansas City usually plays New England pretty well. Also, they played them in New England this year and beat the bricks off of them first game of the year. But again, New England, for some reason, the last couple of years have started off weak. The beginning couple games, especially their defense, and their defense was horrible in the beginning of the year. It kind of tightened up towards the like the 5th or 6th game, and then they played a lot better ever since. But in the first couple of games, they were giving up like 40 pieces, 30 pieces all over the place. So it was pretty easy to score them. And the Kansas City Chiefs offense was really explosive in the beginning of the year. Teams have figured them out. They have not been as explosive. They started picking up a little bit because they went on a 5 or 6 game skid. But people started to figure them out. I would never, ever take Alex Smith over Tom Brady in a big playoff game. Patriots at home, in the playoffs, that's usually money in the bank. I'm going to have to go to New England Patriots here, but the Chiefs should give them a decent game. It shouldn't be too bad of a game. I think they'll give them a decent game, but towards the end, I think it'll get probably a little ugly towards the end of the game. All right, guys, this is going to be a surprisingly close game, I believe. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars will give them a really good game. Jaguars play really good defense. Pittsburgh is kind of hampering right now on offense now that they won't have Antonio Brown. If he does play, he won't be 100%. Who knows how long that calf holds up. So I think this will be a close game, but I will think that the Steelers at home will be able to take care of the Jacksonville Jaguars in a really low-scoring slugfest type of game. Them type of Bengals, Pittsburgh Ravens, Bengals, Pittsburgh Ravens type game. Be really entertaining game to watch because it's going to be like old school slobber knocker football, just going to be, you know, head on. So this will be one of the best games to watch over that weekend just because it's going to be, you know, old school football basically. So I do think Pittsburgh will come out on top. Not a big fan of Blake Bortles, and if you're expecting big things, you know, you're going to need Blake Bortles to play really good, and if that's that's what you're hoping for, you're pretty much in for a long night. So it's going to be a close game, really good game, but I do think Pittsburgh will prevail, and hopefully Antonio Brown is healthy going into the next round of the playoffs. The playoffs have lined up pretty good for the Atlanta Falcons. They get a young team in St. Louis, in Los Angeles, that is their first time in the playoffs. They're young, inexperienced, not a good home team, so they get to go on the road, play it. You know, a team that's not that good at home, inexperienced. If they are able to beat them, then they move on to play Philadelphia Eagles, who have pretty much an inexperienced team for the playoffs. They're out without their best player. They feasted on a easy schedule. Philadelphia Eagles are 9-0 against teams 500 or worse. So they basically beat all, which is what good teams are supposed to do, beat the bricks off the bad teams. So that's what they did. And they were only 3-3 against teams over 500. So I don't think, and that was with their best player. Now they don't have their best player, and they're playing a really good team who's really high motivation to get back to the Super Bowl. I think this is going to be an easy game for Atlanta. I think Atlanta's going to roll. I mean, Philly crowd might be able to keep them into it for a little while, but if Atlanta get a jump on them, Philly's crowd will turn on Philly like that. I know it's a young team, and they probably won't. I think they're going to turn Philly. You know Philly's crowd. They're going to turn on the Eagles like that. They get up on them early. This game can get ugly and get away from the Philadelphia Eagles. I think it's going to be a pretty easy game for Atlanta. And Atlanta is looking pretty. They're on the easier side of the bracket. I'm going to say that St. Louis is going to be a tough game. But again, young team, and they're not that good at home. So they got those things going for them. I think this is going to be the easiest game right here. Everybody was looking forward to playing Philly. Everybody was trying to line up and measure up and try to play Philly in the second game. So I believe Atlanta will be able to move on to the conference championship. All right, guys, now moving on to the next game in the NFC conference. We have the New Orleans Saints at the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings are a really good home team. They're 7-1 at home. Crazy, insane crowd. Nasty defense. Best defense in the NFL, I believe. But they're going against a really balanced attack. Really good defense on their own in New Orleans. This is going to be a really good game. I think whoever Minnesota's plays is going to be a really good game. If the Rams wind up playing them, I think it's going to be a really good game. I think that this is going to come down to Drew Brees being able to make some plays at the end of the game and the shortcomings of your boy, Case Keenum. I believe that's what it's going to come down to because two evenly matched teams. I think Minnesota Saints are a little bit better offensively, not that much, and I think the Minnesota's better defensively, but I just think the quarterback differential and the experience is so drastic. I think that's going to make up for the Minnesota Vikings being a slightly better team and being at home. I think Drew Brees on he probably believes this is his last rodeo. He's going to go get this game. I think he's going to go get this game. I think the Saints are on a mission this year. I really like their team, how they're made up, young players and everything. Really think this is gonna be another really good game. I think this is gonna be a little bit more high scoring than most people think. Most people think this is gonna be a low scoring game because of two pretty good defenses, and the offenses aren't like super crazy explosive. They put up points, but they're not like high powered offenses. But I do believe this is gonna be a sneaky high scoring game. Really, really good game. A lot of these games I'm really looking forward to. I think the NFC game, except for the Atlanta game and Philadelphia, the other three games are going to be pretty good games. I think this is going to be the best one out of this weekend. But I do believe New Orleans Saints will be able to sneak by the Minnesota Vikings and advance to the conference championship game. All right, guys, we are now in the conference championship game. We have the #1 seed New England Patriots versus the #2 seed Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a rematch from last year's conference championship game, which New England was able to defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think history will repeat itself. I believe New England will have too much scoring power for them. New England's defense is so-so, but so is Pittsburgh's. Pittsburgh's defense is not that good. I think their offense is going to be really hampered. Antonio Brown being down, they usually shut Antonio Brown down anyway because they usually take away the team's best offensive weapon. And once they take away Antonio Brown, they will be able to pretty much smother. And for some reason, Pittsburgh just can't beat the Patriots. One day maybe they will. I don't think it'll be this year. I think Tom Brady will yet again go to another Super Bowl, man. Which is hard to believe, but yes, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are vulnerable. They're down one of their best defenders. They're probably one of the best offensive players. I do believe it's going to be easy pickings. The AFC was just lined up for the New England Patriots to go right back to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. I think maybe Pittsburgh was healthy, and Pittsburgh was my preseason pick to win the Super Bowl this year. But from what I've seen this year, I don't believe they have what it takes to take out the Patriots this year. They did not prove it through the year to me, even though that's a team I had picked since the beginning of the year to win the Super Bowl. They didn't prove it to me. They're injured. They just, for some reason, cannot beat New England Patriots, and especially at their home. I don't see that happening. I believe New England Patriots will advance to yet again to another Super Bowl, man. These guys are there almost every other year, or basically every 4 out of 6 years or something like that. So pretty crazy, but I believe they'll be right back in there again. All right, guys, now we're to the last game before the Super Bowl. We're going to go Atlanta Falcons, number 6 seed, versus the number 4 seed, New Orleans Saints. Saints will be at home. Both of these teams will have high motivations with their star legendary quarterbacks getting towards the end of their career, especially New Orleans and Atlanta coming off the loss to the Patriots last year. Will we see a Super Bowl rematch, or will Drew Brees advance to try to take down another legendary quarterback in the Super Bowl and get his second ring? I believe New Orleans' defense is significantly better than Atlanta's. I believe Atlanta's offense is better than New Orleans. New Orleans has a little bit more balance to their offense, though. They're better at running the ball. I believe they will shorten the game, play good defense. Drew Brees will make the plays, and that home crowd where they've won, by this time they would have won 8 straight home games. That crowd will be going crazy, and I think the crowd will be the difference between New Orleans advancing to the Super Bowl to take on the New England Patriots. I think these two teams are very evenly matched. The difference will be the fact that New Orleans earned the home field advantage by winning their division, and that's going to be the difference between them going to the Super Bowl, because it's a divisional game. They both beat each other during the regular season, each at their home. So I think the home team will win this game, and New Orleans Saints will advance to the Super Bowl to face the New England Patriots. All right, guys, so here we are in the Super Bowl. New Orleans Saints versus the New England Patriots. 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks going at it. Doesn't get much better than that. 2 crazy fan bases. Indoor team versus an outdoor team. This is indoors in Minnesota this year, so it's an indoor game. So it shouldn't affect New Orleans too much to play outdoors. And even though they're the running team, so actually, if they played outside, I think New Orleans would have even a better matchup, just because they're better at running the ball than the Patriots are. And usually, you know, that translates better to bad weather. But nonetheless, indoors, and they're an indoor team. So they get that regular indoor treatment that they're just an indoor team. But they are a good running team. So want to get to it. I do think that this is a very evenly matched game. And you can never bet on a big game against Tom Brady. That is like, you just don't do that. But I think this game is going to be very evenly matched. I believe this will be a high-scoring game. This will be a high 20s to high 30s. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, back and forth. I do believe that the team to win, for some reason, I think this is the team of destiny this year. I think the New Orleans Saints are meant to win the Super Bowl this year. I don't know, for some reason, that is the team I'm most scared of out of any team in the brackets. I think New Orleans Saints, they have everything. They have a running game, Hall of Fame quarterback, still playing pretty good, and a really good defense. They have every component going for them. And I do believe Drew Brees will knock off another quarterback titan after he beat Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl a few years back. He will now collect a ring off of Tom Brady, which will cement his legacy as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time as well. And obviously, Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl every damn year. You got to give him props for making it every year. I mean, they could possibly win it, but in my opinion, they will lose. But the guy is there every year. Bill Belichick deserves credit as well. But I do believe Drew Brees gets his second ring, knocks off the Patriots, and then he brings the Super Bowl trophy back to New Orleans. Should be I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I know I said that the Rams were going to lose to the Atlanta Falcons. That's just me taking my fandom out of it. Obviously, Saturday night, I will be rooting like all hell for us to destroy the Atlanta Falcons and then go and destroy the Minnesota Vikings and then go and destroy whoever comes out after that game. So, very amped up for the playoffs. Very looking forward to my team doing some damage, because I do think if we beat Atlanta, we're going to make a run. I don't think Minnesota will be the last stop. I think we're going to go on a run. So if we win that first playoff game as a young team, win the thing, the rest of the games are probably going to be on the road, we're going to go on a run. But other than that, you might be seeing St. Louis over there in Minnesota in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? It's just a possibility. I'm really excited. Hopefully you guys are too. You guys let me know down below in the comments who do you guys think will win the Super Bowl? Who you think is going to win each matchup? Which one you think I'm dead wrong in? Whatever, because I know people are going to disagree. People's fandoms. I even picked against my team. So I mean, sometimes you got to take the fandom aside. I'm just trying to be as unbiased as possible. Just what I think by seeing those teams match up. Again, the NFL is very fluky. It's one game and you're gone. Anything can happen in one game. So, take this for a grain of salt. I mean, this is just my opinion on who I think is going to win. Anything can happen when it's just a one-game series. So, you guys let me know in the comments down below who you think is going to win. Who you think is, want to win each of the matchups. If you guys really disagree on a certain matchup that you think I'm dead wrong in, let me know. That's pretty much it, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like down below. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe. Till next time, guys.